Presented from the Aishin Broadcast Studio at Babcock's Media.
Welcome to the AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today our guest is James Klaus from Loon Advertising. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Brian.
We're really excited to have you here. And we're going to talk about a topic that I know is near and dear to your heart and hopefully gets you excited a little bit, OTT. Tell me about it.
I love OTT. So at Loon Advertising, who I represent, the president over there, we are all in on OTT. And the reason why is right now it is probably the best way for car dealers to get their message in front of as many consumers as possible at the lowest cost. There's a lot of ways to do it, and I'm sure we'll dive into that.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk a lot about like how it works, who is seeing it, and cost. But let's just kind of start with like where is OTT? Like what is it? Like who's going to see it? How are they going to see it? Who is seeing it?
Absolutely. So OTT is kind of a black box in automotive right now. So everybody says OTT, everybody's talking about OTT, so it's a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. So think of OTT as your streaming TV services, right? Mm-hmm. So OTT is literally streaming TV that's served via the internet. Mm-hmm. Right? So at one time we all had linear TV. So we all had traditional cable boxes, etc. As time has evolved, we've all switched to streaming. Mm-hmm. I believe the average person has about 4 to 5 streaming platforms right now. So think Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime and YouTube TV, etc. So there's a huge opportunity for us to target market people on these very unique video placements. Mm-hmm. The overarching term is called programmatic. And programmatic is really the combination of streaming TV, connected TV, OTT, as well as other elements or media such as display and online video and streaming audio. So OTT actually rolls up into an entire programmatic atmosphere, and you need to make sure that you're dialed on all of it. But right now, think of OTT as the new TV, right?
Yeah.
And it's all over the internet. And what OTT stands for is over the top. So it runs over the top of a cable box was originally where the name came from.
Cool. And like what makes OTT a better way to target individuals that are likely to do business at a dealership as opposed to what you were limited with linear TV?
100%. Great question. So you said a great word when you asked that question. You said targeting.
Yeah.
And if you really want to know the major difference between programmatic marketing, OTT, online video, and what we're discussing today, it is targeting. It is targeting and audience creation. Because before, when we were doing linear TV, we were really spraying and praying, right? It was, hey, let's hit this entire market, right? So we're gonna hit all the town and we're gonna have our commercial spot, etc. Now, we've evolved much past that. So now we have unique business cases that we go after, and we can serve those via OTT. So now it's, who do you want, Mr. and Mrs. Dealer, to show your commercial to? It's not everybody. It is a targeted market. So do you want to serve people that are in market for cars? Mm-hmm. Do you want to help people that may be shopping for service? Are you trying to put an overall message out there about what your dealership's all about? But all of those different ideas or campaigns are highly targeted off of specific audiences. And there's a lot of different ways to get the audiences into your campaigns and optimize for them. And so that's why you got to work with a trusted partner in order to make sure you're doing the best OTT possible.
So basically what you're saying is that I guess in the old days we would say, okay, my dealership's in this market, so I'm going to advertise on some television show or some television broadcaster, and I'm going to hit everybody all the time. And with OTT, you can take a list of people that are likely to do whatever you want them to do, and you're only going to be on their TV. So you and I could be neighbors, and if you're on the list, you'll see the commercial, and if I'm not on the list, I won't see the commercial.
So very well, actually a very astute way of putting it. That is absolutely accurate. When we target market properly, like you said, it's only serving those people. And that's a good thing because that means that you have no more wasted ad spend. And everybody, we all create media campaigns. Mm-hmm. And we have to think, why am I doing this? What is the business case? what is the exact reason why I decided to do this? You made a very good comment just now of we used to, kind of go out to everybody. I was a car dealer for 15 years, and I used to spend a lot of money with local cable, right? And we would create local spots every month, and the reps would come in, and we would put our message out that way. But it went out to the entire community. Now, that's all kind of changed. So now we're not doing the linear TV nearly as much. We're doing much more dialed programmatic marketing, trying to solve unique business cases for the dealers, which thus will have them get better ROI and actually sell more cars, service more cars, get their brand recognition out there, and then also help them with areas of the business they may be struggling.
You know what? I have a lot of questions that are going to be easy to answer, but let's start with the hard one. How can a dealer use OTT to sell the units that are difficult to sell or cars that they're having trouble getting off the lot?
Favorite question I get, right? Because that's one thing at Loon we're all about. Give us that hard business objective. Give us something that most cannot solve for. So when I was a dealer, I'll use myself as a perfect example. I was a Ford dealer, and we didn't really have a problem selling F-150s. We didn't have a problem selling F-250s. I was in a mountain market. We were a truck store. I really had a hard time selling Ford Focuses. I had a hard time selling Ford Fusions at the time. Those were the ones that I would always talk to my partners and my vendors and my marketing companies about of how are you going to help me sell these cars, not F-150s? And that's where we come into play. How do you create demand for a model that doesn't have that much demand? And it's via education, right? So if we put an OTT ad out there, streaming TV ad up on the big screen, et cetera, and it's just, hey, we sell F-150s at the Ford store, people are like, okay, great, we know you sell F-150s. But how do I create search intent for the Ford Focus? Well, first, let's create an ad around the benefits of a Ford Focus. Maybe try to conquest some additional manufacturers that we've had success with in the past. So I'm a Ford dealer, probably not going after Honda, Toyota, or Subaru, but I might be able to get somebody from Mazda. I might be able to get somebody from Hyundai or Kia. So let's target those people that are driving those like models with a message around why the Ford Focus is better. We have relied on Tier 1 in the Tier 3 space. We've relied on Tier 1 for many years to create search demand for us. And I think the majority of the dealers watching the show today would agree that Tier 1 does not create search demand the way they would hope for those hard to sell models. So first, let's talk to the dealer and figure out the business objective. 2, let's focus on models that we could help conquest or search for areas of the market that are underserved. And I'm going to expand on that real quick. Look for areas where you can look into sales reports, which we have the ability to do, and see what type of vehicles are selling into underserved markets. So let's say you have 15 minutes to this store and 15 minutes to that store. That person right there has to make a decision. Go after those markets. We're all owning our backyard. So now we're going to see which models can we conquest, which areas is conquesting open to. So conquesting from another store to get them in. What is the messaging? It cannot be a generic message. It needs to be very specific around why the model that you're having a hard time selling is a better option than what else is out there. And maybe create some walk around videos, some additional content on why that video is better. Then hit them with OTT. Then if they go to the website and engage, change the messaging and hit them with offers based on that car to try to get them further down the funnel. But those are the unique business cases that I really like. One more thing to add. First-party data ingestion and outside data ingestion. We have a clean room at Loon, which helps us to create audiences to target market. So if I need help selling Ford Focuses, why wouldn't I look into my service department and grab every Ford Focus customer that had, serviced with us for the last year and hit them with an offer as well. And we can do that programmatically and use other media that we don't sell at Loon, but we have partners that do, that could provide direct mail behind that or could provide an email campaign behind that. And thinking outside the box of those little things we can do to increase demand for that vehicle instead of just focusing on the models that are easy to sell.
I have a question. I was going to ask you about segmentation a little bit later, but it sounds like, that answer is perfect to kind of take us into talking about segmentation. Like you talked about, or we have talked about, instead of marketing to the entire market to the people that fit your list, you brought up the service department. I mean, would you be able to say, okay, this person brought in a 2-year-old focus versus a 6-year-old focus, and maybe give them can you segment the message that you're giving them as well?
Absolutely, 100%.
Really?
So there's no limitations beyond creative in programmatic marketing, OTT, dynamic display, online video, etc. The only limitations are the amount of creative that your provider is going to provide you, for lack of a better term. So you hit it, nail on the head. That creative should be different. That creative should show something that actually makes sense to the consumer that you're trying to sell something to. So think of all the data mining tools and everything else we have out there. What are we doing with the audiences from that to target market to people? It's very valuable. So in the scenario of the Ford Focus, like I just talked about, I would say first-party data ingestion of former Ford sedan customers, conquest of like models that you actually have a chance of winning.
Yep.
Creative around the walk around or offers-based creative, additional trade-in creative, whatever's going to be that hook for you, or all three. No reason why you can't have more than one hook. We don't have to have one offer on every car. We can have multiples, right? Yeah. And then, also look at some other things like Polk data, monthly payments. Where does that all fall for people? Credit scores, right? Do we want to go after good credit, bad credit? Almost define the persona of the individual that would buy that vehicle and reverse engineer your marketing plan backwards to get in front of them using all the audiences and first-party data, and you'll hear me say that a lot, that you have right at your fingertips. What does that result in? Hopefully, additional traffic for the dealership on that model. And it's a part of a media mix, so you'll need to work with the dealers and their search providers, et cetera, to say, hey, right now this dealership's having a hard time selling Ford Focuses. We're doing all of this programmatically to increase demand for Ford Focuses. Please make sure that your paid search and everything else is prepared for Ford Focus traffic so that way we can capture all the demand.
So I guess the opportunity to be very specific with the marketing message is provided by OTT because you're not marketing to the whole market. Like you wouldn't say, hey, we know you're interested in Ford Focus, or hey, we know you serviced your Ford Focus with us in the last 5 years. Would you like a new one? And you wouldn't want that to go to your F-150 customer. But since these people are people who have serviced a Ford Focus with you, that they have owned a Ford Focus, and maybe you would use a message like that.
Absolutely. We can't limit ourselves, right? Like, what is the message that you want to hear that's going to make you take an action? Because that's the ultimate goal, right? Make people, or not make's the wrong word, get people to take an action that's going to help your dealership, this year, next year, and the following years. Service department, sales department, et cetera. You have all that in front of you. Use it to your advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't wait for the day that my television says, Brian, you wear a lot of blue clothes. There's a sale on blue clothes up the road. But I mean, it's coming. It's definitely coming.
Well, let's think about that for a second. One thing we're very big on, and we were very early on, is the Amazon demand side platform. Mm-hmm. And that is where we run the lion's share of media at Loon. We also have DV360, so YouTube. We have partner deals with Spectrum and Roku and everybody else. So no matter the placement, we can get it for you. But the two primary DSPs that we focus on are the Amazon DSP and then also DV360, which is YouTube. When you have the targeting capabilities that the Amazon DSP has, you can do some things that others cannot. Because you said something that was very interesting, or I heard something that was very interesting. You like blue shirts.
Yeah.
If we log on to Amazon.com right now and we look for shirts for you, they're going to all be blue.
Yep.
Because Amazon knows what you want. We use all that Amazon data to target the right shopper at the right time. Because Amazon's one of the only companies in the world that we expect to take our data and tell us what we want to buy. So why aren't more dealers using that for their OTT, for their programmatic, for their online video? Because Amazon's got all that data and we can use it. I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
How did Amazon get your home address?
I gave it to them.
How did Amazon get your credit information, your credit card information?
I gave it to them.
And is there another platform in the world that when you log onto it, you actually expect them to tell you what you want?
No. I mean, it's insane.
All right, now I'm going to go one step further. Do you know that Amazon.com is the largest online seller of parts in the world?
I did know that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So with that being said, Amazon has the Amazon Garage. Are you familiar with that at all?
I haven't used it, but I've heard people talk about it.
Cool. The Amazon Garage is the second largest repository of vehicles in the United States of America, second only to the small organization called the Department of Motor Vehicles, or DMV. So with that being said, every time someone searches for a part on Amazon.com, they're prompted to put in the year of their vehicle. So if I said, hey, I'm looking for Ford Explorer floor mats, it's going to say, James, what year is your Ford Explorer? And I'll say 2025. James, what's the trim level on that? So we can make sure that we line up the right floor mats for you. That all that data gets captured and put into my Amazon Garage, right? They also buy this information from other various sources. But now think about this fact. Your terms of service with Amazon are much different than everybody else. So cookies, all that kind of stuff doesn't really exist. I can target market to you at your home with your shopping preferences, with your old behaviors, what type of car you buy, what is your credit background, etc. Because I'm Amazon and you gave it all to me. And with that Amazon Garage, when I was talking about conquest earlier, think about the fact that you could say, okay, we only want to go after, say, Ford Focus previous owners that own one that's a 2022 to a 2024. Mm-hmm. You can do that. You only want to do those people that drive those vehicles in this zip code. No problem. The really fun part of it is there's 235 million vehicles in there right now that are connected to about 160 million different Amazon accounts, which in overarching OTT, we have a lot of fraud. That removes the fraud because Amazon will only serve, the Amazon demand side platform will only serve ads to a logged on Amazon user. What is a logged on Amazon user? That's a device that's been connected to your Amazon account. So that's our cell phones, that's our laptops, that's our tablets, that's our big screen TVs at home. And so when you partner with the right provider and you use the right demand side platforms, you get access to this data that you can use to serve. Now, think about using that data not just for sales, but for service and for parts and for body shop, etc.
Yeah.
And it just goes on and on and on, the use cases.
You know, I hadn't thought about it, but you know, you and I were talking about wiper blades earlier, and you know, like I've never bought parts. You know, you often think of parts as being like, okay, you're going to be turning wrenches and fixing your own car. Like I've never done that, but I've certainly bought wiper blades on Amazon before.
Correct.
You know, and it's so Amazon just off the wiper blade knows what I drive.
Absolutely. So, and think about it like this. All right, if you sell wiper blades, and it'd be a really good opportunity, a fun little case, is what about everybody in your market in these zip codes that have shopped for wiper blades, put them in their cart and haven't checked out yet, right? So they haven't actually bought them. Well, let's create an audience off of that for Mr. and Mrs. Dealer and hit the prospect with wiper blades ads, whether that's display, online video, OTT, whatever. You can hit them and say, hey, complete your purchase, or hey, come into ABC Ford and we'll install your wiper blades for you for free, because most dealerships will do that.
Yeah.
The targeting that you can do is limitless, and that's where a lot of the fun comes in.
So, I mean, I guess like, you know, every dealership, you're probably talking about 4 or 5 or 6 different types of campaigns, and then for every vehicle, you're thinking about how are we going to, you know, make this campaign relevant and interesting to the target audience. I mean, it seems like there's so much more opportunity. You're not just saying, come to my Ford store because we'll treat you right, or come to my Ford store because we're the low price leader, or come to my Ford store because we're nearby. You're able to, you know, you might say, James, you know, we know that you drive this vehicle and you probably need these repairs. Come to my service department. James, we know you drive this vehicle and we have a great opportunity to buy another one just like it for a great price. I mean, you can really target it across every department of the dealership for every vehicle type, for every customer profile.
100%. Now let's go one step further.
Yeah.
So most folks, if you hire an OTT provider, you create an OTT ad, right? I don't know who does it for most others. Some have their own creative services, others rely on the dealership. But we create one branding ad, if you will. It's hey, we've been family owned and operated since 1955. You know, we have factory certified technicians. We have coffee in the lounge. We have Wi-Fi available. The typicals, and there's nothing wrong with that. But think about if you put that ad out there, right? And when you target a large audience with it to make sure that they know about your store. But then they go to your website and they engage with new vehicles. Do we want to continue to serve them branding campaigns about the store existing, or do we want to kind of change it and move them down the funnel? So what we'll do is we'll create an overarching branding campaign with a larger geo or a larger target market with a branding campaign about the dealership, about the features and benefits, about the years in business, etc. But then when they go to your site and they engage with sales or they engage in service, we are going to then change the messaging in the audience and maybe some of the tactics to more offer-based if they're looking at vehicles. So they engaged with an F-150, they engaged with a Explorer. Well, let's hit them with some different creative, different messaging that's, hey, Brian, you can lease a Ford F-150 for X. You can buy a Ford F-150 for Y. Come on down to ABC Ford and check them out, right? That's one message. But if you go to my service department on the website and you're looking at all service stuff about the service scheduler, things like that, service specials page, an F-150 offer is not relevant to that consumer. They saw your branding ad, but now you're going to serve them sales? That's a disconnect. So let's make sure we have a campaign created and ready to roll for service, because now they're into a service bucket, right? And so that way the creative will change. Now we're going to go one step further. When you're thinking about that overall branding, right, you're going to want to reduce that frequency a little bit because it can get expensive. But then when they engage on the site, let's ramp up that frequency. Let's ramp up the amount of times they're going to see our ads and offers because now they're in market, right? Now they're ready to roll. So you got to kind of look at it. So think you need a total media plan, not just a sales media plan. So you need branding, you need dealership campaigns, you need service campaigns, you need offers-based campaigns, you need parts department campaigns. You know, depending on where your dealership needs help, we need to make sure that we have messaging and we have creative that backs that up and helps you with your business objective. And this is probably much different than what people are used to hearing instead of just saying, hey, let's run an ad.
Presented from the Aishin Broadcast Studio at Babcox Media.
Help me understand if I've got this right. So you're going to run a branding campaign to this larger audience, and person A goes to the website, looks at new F-150s. So now they start down this path, but person B maybe looked at used F-150s and they start down a path. Person C went to the service department, maybe they go down a path. D goes to parts, down a path. Like you might have these almost like a Plinko and The Price is Right, a million different paths these customers could go through based upon how they interact with your website?
Yeah, with that website or other things on the internet, Amazon owns a lot of other properties, so we can pixel them. We also have some very unique creative tags that we use, so we can follow people around the internet off of the creative that they've been served, kind of like we were talking about before. We have a headless analytics solution that if you're served an ad, even if you don't engage with it, and you go to the website, I can actually show that. So there's a lot of really cool ways to show the success of the campaigns as well. And that's where we start talking about clean rooms and solutions like that.
Let's talk about that. Tell me about the headless. Talk a little bit more about that, because I'd like the audience to kind of understand, how the tracking works. So we've talked about a lot of different places, but maybe just talk about exactly how the tech is able to follow the people, where it can follow the people, and how that informs you on what type of marketing to serve them next.
Absolutely. So the really fun thing about what we do at Loon is we innovate. Like that is what we're all about, is innovation, innovation, innovation. And there's been a huge disconnect in reporting between programmatic and the current reporting mechanisms that most dealers use. And so we went out and we found this amazing company and we acquired them. And it is it's called Headless Analytics, right? And so what it is literally a creative tag that goes in your creative that then cookies someone's computer. And so no matter where they go, we're kind of following them. And we can show a lot back. So when that happens, you see an OTT ad, right? You've been targeted because we know exactly who you are and what you're serving. Now, you go to the dealer's website. We're going to be able to show that, consumer A was served an OTT ad at this time. The same consumer then within 24 hours visited the website. They shop some VDPs and those types of things. Perfect. The pixel picks that up. A different pixel picks that up. We can change the creative, right? But then they leave. Okay. But they come back into the website via paid search. Perfect. And we can see that. Then they leave again. And then they come and then they get served a couple display ads or an online video ad. And then they come back again and they convert. Our dealers can see that user flow as they go, which is a lot of fun, right? So it's kind of going to that next step of what did that impression that was served actually do for you? And one thing I like to point out to people is whether you're doing OTT, online video, display, etc., streaming audio is a big piece of this as well. It all helps each other. It is not a silver bullet. There's no super duper marketing medium that you can put all your eggs in one basket and think you're going to have success. You need to make sure that you have a robust media mix. And that robust media mix includes everything from the big screen to online video to display to paid search to social media marketing to TikTok, etc. And ultimately, 99% of the time, the big winner is going to be Google paid search because that's where everybody ends up. They search for your dealership's name, get a little last click conversion. So with that being said, the Headless Analytics tag helps tell that story of how does your media actually work for you?
Yeah, I think I'm following you. Like if no one is searching for the Babcock's, sedan car because no one's ever heard of the Babcock's sedan car, and they're not coming to Babcock's Media to buy that Babcock's sedan car because they've never heard of Babcock's Media. But if, through showing people, awareness type campaigns about a business and then landing them on the right vehicle and showing them the right things and then watching where they go, you actually kind of take them from a not aware of you to aware of you, learning more about them, showing them that this vehicle might be right for them, and then all the way through the sale, and you're actually able to watch that path, understand your marketing better, and then the next time around, improve the path or test different things. I mean, it's kind of like A/B testing on like steroids.
Absolutely. And another thing with programmatic, we can A/B test everything. And that's a ton of fun. So we do a lot of fun A/B tests where we'll take, one CDP's data and we'll create a line item in a DSP, demand side platform, using that data, and we'll target a certain market, right? Or a certain demographic. We'll change the creative, but use the exact same targeting. We'll change an audience using that creative, use the exact same targeting. And then compare the results of the same targeting, but using different audiences across the board. And then look at what performed the best and what got you the business case or the business outcome you were looking for. So A/B testing is a huge part of this. And part of what that does, the Headless Analytics does, it lets us know which creative is being the most effective. Because for many, many years, we've gone off of our gut, right?
Yeah.
And that's no way to go. So let's actually look at what creative performs better than others. A lot of times we're kind of shocked because the creative you think is going to perform the best actually doesn't. And the creative that you are like, I don't know if this is going to perform, can perform wonderfully. And there's a bunch of other little hacks and stuff we can put in there too.
I mean, gosh, if we go back to our Ford Focus example, so you've got a whole bunch of Ford Focuses that you can't move, and we test a bunch of things, through the ad exchanges, and we find out what type of messaging works, because I can see which people saw which message and which ones converted to buy. Now we're 6 months down the road, or a year down the road, or 2 years down the road. I know all the people that bought those Focuses responded to this type of messaging. So now my service stuff could be based upon the knowledge I already know about the people that are driving those Focuses.
Absolutely. So think about it like this. this is why you should buy a Ford Focus. These are the benefits of the Ford Focus. This is I can't believe we're talking this much about Ford Focuses, by the way. But I guess it's a good example.
Yeah.
If anybody out there thinks Ford Focus isn't hard to sell, they're clearly not a Ford dealer. But okay, the new car manager might think 0% or 1.9% on the Ford Focus is what's going to move it. Somebody else might have another offer on a Ford Focus, $299 lease or something. But another one's a walk around on why the Ford Focus is a superior vehicle to a Mazda 3, right? We can then look back at that, just like you were talking about, and say, okay, while we thought leading with a $299 price point was going to be the big winner, the actual big winner was the walk around education piece where we didn't talk price once. And instead of guessing on which we'll do, we can look back at the data and then use that to perform better in the future. And just like you're saying, that's where it gets a lot of fun. Now, I can go one step further because we talked about headless analytics, but we should talk about clean rooms at one point as well.
Let's do it.
Okay, so clean room.
Yep.
We have a clean room that's built on top of the Amazon Marketing Cloud. So that took a lot. The Amazon demand side platform knows every impression that it serves. And like I said previously, it will only serve an impression. So think of an impression as an OTT spot, streaming TV spot, online video spot, dynamic display, streaming audio, to a device that's been connected to an Amazon account, which is about 90+% of all Americans. Amazon knows our cell phones. They know all of those types of things. Now, we ingest in sales data, RO data, any type of data into the clean room, right? So imagine, right, a dealer sells 500 cars in a month. We ingest in those 500 sales. We can actually push that directly into the clean room, and it's going to try to match those up against the Amazon users in the clean room to start because it's built on top of the Amazon Marketing Cloud. And we all have what's called an Amazon identifier. And that Amazon identifier is you, right? But I just can't call it Brian.
Yeah.
So all that data comes in. It's trying to match up in the clean room. In the clean room, our human eyes cannot read. This is all very secure, hashed, and been through more compliance than I ever want to talk about. So we're not going to talk about that. But it comes in and it says, all right, Brian address. Okay, it's trying to match it. Phone number, trying to match it. Email address, trying to match it, etc. You're going to get a match rate. So now you had 500 people bought a car from the dealership. We were able to match, say, 400 plus to Amazon users. Of those 400 people that we were able to identify, right, that bought a car, we can then tell the dealer 120 of those were served an impression from us, right? So that you get an attribution piece from there, and the dealers absolutely love that. We also ingest every sale once a week from Polk nationwide. So then also in the clean room, and we have a reporting dashboard for this, it'll show you who bought cars from you, but who was served an impression and bought cars from your competitors. So then the dealers can actually see, like, all right, my Buick GMC store sold 300 last month. Of those 300, 260 known Amazon users, 120 exposed to an ad. But then you'll see the 5 other Buick GMC stores that they compete against, and how many cars they sold, and how many were actually exposed to an ad from the dealer that works with us. And we get to have some fun conversations off of that on things like, okay, maybe we shouldn't be targeting around there. Or maybe we're losing the battleground of one of those areas I talked about earlier that was kind of up for grabs in between two stores. Or you have to drive by 3 stores to get to this store. Okay, maybe that's the wrong targeting. But if you don't, maybe we need to increase our frequency in messaging there. Maybe we have a process issue. So a lot of fun there. Now let's go one step further into leads. Say that store had 1,000 leads in a month. Same thing happens. We ingest those into the clean room. We match them to Amazon users. Say we matched 850 of the 1,000. Well, I said the dealership sold 500 cars. What about those leads that didn't convert to sales that month? Well, that becomes an audience that gets pushed back out into the demand side platform, and then we can continue to market to those people. So now we've created an audience of people that have already submitted a lead to you, and we're hitting them with messaging for that. Now let's go one step further to the service department. What are dealers doing today for unsold service ROs?
I'd say that most dealerships are trying to have their BDC call those people after they get through all the other calls they have to do. And other than that, maybe a postcard. I don't know.
Absolutely. I hope they're doing at least a postcard, right?
Yeah.
But what we'll do is we'll actually ingest in all those unsold service ROs, create an audience off of it, put it into the clean room, out to the DSP, and now those people are getting hit with offers on coming back into the dealership or spots on why it's important to, fix your vehicle, do maintenance, etc. So a lot of fun there. And then dealers always ask me, like the Ford Focus, like we were talking about earlier, like how do I sell more Ford Focuses or how do I get more people in my service department? Well, the service department, have you looked into your sales department for every customer that bought a car from you in the last 2 years but hasn't done a subsequent service with you? Well, that's a pretty good audience.
Yeah.
So let's ingest that and target market those people. And vice versa on the service side. Do you know how many people have done business with the average dealership in service and never bought a car from them? Usually when I look, it's somewhere between 20 and 30,000 unique records. So dealers are thinking, where do I go out there and get all these different customers? What about the people that have already spent money in your dealership with you, right? And have been in your store, but have never bought a car from you? Why are you ignoring them? So let's combine that into your overall sales messaging, create an audience off of that, create a lookalike audience off of that, and be good to go.
Yeah, I was thinking about, you could probably even take lessons learned in sales and lessons learned in service and use that on the creative side too. I mean, if I'm going to go back to the Ford Focus again, just 'cause I'm having fun with it now. Yeah. So if my Ford Focus buyers were really, really motivated by a message of a walk around and it was talking about safety features, then why wouldn't I maybe reach out to my Ford Focus owners that are in areas where they have maintenance required and talk to them about the safety that provides? I mean, like you could, and vice versa. You learn messaging from each other.
Correct. Now, there's a couple other things I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
One was CPMs.
I was hoping we'd get to that because
yes.
I love your thoughts on CPM. Let's talk about that.
Okay, and then I also want to touch on partnering with the device, which we'll get to in a second.
Okay.
But CPMs. We had a conversation earlier about, is a low CPM a good CPM? Not necessarily. And this is going to go a little bit against the industry. If you're doing the right targeting and the right marketing, a low CPM does not correlate to success. And what I mean by that is the higher targeted the market and the more premium of a placement, the harder it is to get in front of them, thus it costs more, right? So what I tell dealers every day is if you see CPMs in the $18 range, $20 range, your spidey sense, for lack of a better term, should go off because there's a thing called a blended CPM. Mm-hmm. And a blended CPM is when someone takes your CPM, and a CPM is a cost per thousand. It's cost per thousand views, right? For those that don't know what a CPM is, I apologize for not defining. They blend the CPM. So let's say your CPM on streaming TV was $40 and your CPM on online video, or think of online video as pre-roll, right? So Fox News, CNN, Yahoo, et cetera, the little 30-second, 15-second, 6-second spots you see, mm-hmm. right? That's called online video. So your CPM for that's $8 or $9. And then you have a display CPM at $6 or $7. Then you have a streaming campaign, a streaming radio campaign for $18, $19. Well, a lot of companies will just combine all of those in your ad spend and show you a singular CPM. That is a big faux pas because you should know exactly what you're paying per each channel, right? Or each media mix. So make sure you're getting reporting that shows the CPM for OTT, the CPM for online video, the CPM for dynamic display, the CPM for streaming radio. The reason why I say this is if you called me today, Brian, and said, I need a $1 OTT CPM, do you think I could do it?
No.
I can.
You can.
I can. It's not going to be good. It's going to be the worst you've ever seen. You ever heard of Dog TV?
No.
Dog TV is a channel that you can use on most streaming providers. It's a channel you leave on for your dogs during the day.
Oh, wow.
So what do you think this, and guess what? People put ads on it.
Oh, wow.
So I can get you a 50-cent CPM or a $1 CPM. Unfortunately, your ads are only getting served to dogs. And that's why we have to ask further questions of our providers and ask where these CPMs come from and ask where our placements were, because it's really important. Dog TV is a good example, right? So low CPM does not always mean success. The way you want to grade success in programmatic marketing is by in-store consumer actions, right? What do I mean by that? Did you feel it in the store? Did you actually sell more vehicles? Did you actually service more vehicles? And we can show these types of lifts with modern reporting, because you can look at repair orders and you can look at sales data and you can look at the ads that you ran, right? But if you're talking to me about CPMs, you're going to see this is your OTT CPM, this is your online video CPM, this is your dynamic display CPM, and these are all your placements, and these are why. Because a lot of companies, like we talked about, will just say, hey, we're going to run OTT. That's really expensive, and I need to be a good steward of our dealers' dollars. They respect us. They expect us to respect their money. Yeah. So by just pushing out OTT, that's not always respecting my dealers' money. So that's why we do a media mix with online video, lower cost, further down the funnel. You don't need to just spend money to spend money. So that's why the CPMs, low CPM is not always a good CPM. The other thing on the CPMs is, how are they buying it? So you want to sit directly on the demand side platform. That is very key, because when you sit directly on a demand side platform like, Amazon, the Amazon DSP, any app that is running through the Amazon Fire system, so think of any TV that's running off of Amazon or anybody that's using a Fire Stick, you get access to inventory on every application on that device. So for me, I don't care what they're watching a lot of the times. I care that my message gets in front of them. No, I don't want to be on dog TV. So we make sure you're not on that. But traditionally, you would say, James, if I wanted to sell you an Explorer, I drive an Explorer, you would need to be, you're a Midwestern dad, you got 2 kids that play sports, ESPN, right? Like, you got to be on ESPN, you got to be on Monday Night Football, etc. My kids are obsessed with this show called Is It Cake? I've talked about this on some other podcasts too. Have you seen this show?
Nope, I have not seen it.
It's literally a show where people make things like that chair sitting over there that no one can see, so I referenced it. And we'd have to decide, is it made out of cake or not? My kids are obsessed with this show. So if you want to get your message in front of me at 8 p.m., Is It Cake is really where it's all about.
Wow.
But I don't care what's up there, what app's up there, what program's up there. You got to make sure that the message is targeting the household and the right person. And that's the key to doing this right.
So how do you partner with a device?
So first, you got to make a commitment to the device. So for Amazon to be on their DSP and to partner with their device, for lack of a better term, or the operating system that runs, you have to go into a partnership agreement with them, and guarantee you're going to spend X amount, et cetera. So we've done that with Amazon and DV360, so YouTube and YouTube TV and Samsung and Roku and a bunch of others. Mm-hmm. So that way you get access to every app on that device. So the key there is, I'm targeting a household out of the Amazon DSP a lot of the times. Again, I don't care what app you're watching. I just want to make sure the message gets in front of you, because you have a million ways to stream TV. So what's interesting is when you get into the reporting and I can actually see, I served you ads, but actually you stream Paramount Plus via a Roku device and a Roku extension, right? That's perfect. That's a great way to get in front of you. But if I'm not partnered with Roku and Amazon and I have these deals, I can't get in front of it. So that's why partnering the device is so important, because you get access to every app on the TV instead of just one. Other companies will go out and be like, hey, we can get you Paramount, we get you ESPN, we get you HBO. Okay, that's great, but you're missing out on such a large segment of the population. I don't think that's really the best way to go. So right demand side platform, partner with the device, be almost app agnostic, right? Like, I'm big on Tubi. I love Tubi. Not everybody's big on Tubi yet. I would tell everybody, get big on Tubi. It's owned by Fox. It's part of the Amazon owned and operated channels through the Amazon DSP, but it is what is called an ad-supported network. So it is a video ad-supported streaming service, and they are not going to ever charge a subscription. So there's a lot of other inventory sources that you get when you partner with devices that you may have never thought of. I've never had a dealer say, hey, I need to be on Tubi.
Yeah.
Now, though, when they see the results that they get off of Tubi, they go, wow, I'm really glad we partnered with a device and not an individual app. Because when we partner with apps, we assume viewing behaviors. When we partner with devices, we can see your viewing behaviors and we can serve your viewing behaviors.
Well, I mean, that makes perfect sense. If you're going to go down the route of targeting people, you really don't care where they are and what they're watching. You just want to be in front of their eyes. And so if you partner with a device, I mean, it sounds like, if I know I want you in my audience, it doesn't matter if I'm partnered with your device. It doesn't matter where you're watching or what you're watching. I just know you're going to be watching me.
That's one of the most fun things about it. I travel all over. I travel 100 nights a year for work. I'm all over the country. When I put on Hulu in the hotel, or I watch YouTube in the hotel, or whatever, or I'm watching Amazon Prime, doesn't matter. I see all local Minneapolis ads. The reason why is they're targeting me. They're targeting my device. They're targeting my household. And the fact that I'm sitting in Ohio right now and not in Minnesota does not affect the ads that I see, because they have targeted me. So another really fun one, and then I know we're almost to time here, is Arizona dealers from Minnesota. I'll give you a fun one that we do. When you move, or when you change, think of when you move across the country, or you're a snowbird, right? And you go to Arizona for the winter, which address do you think you update first?
Your mailing address?
No,
your Amazon.
Your
That's
Amazon, because where your package is coming in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so think about new to market. Think about the fact that people change their Amazon address instantaneously because their packages keep showing up. So we run a bunch of awesome campaigns for Arizona dealers targeting people from Illinois and Minnesota, Wisconsin, etc., who change their address to somewhere in Arizona, and then we can look at that market and hit them with, hey, Brian, we know you just got down here, maybe not quite that aggressive, but hey, Brian, the last thing you need to worry about right now is where you're going to service your Ford. Over here at our Ford store, we have pickup and delivery and this and that.
Oh, wow.
And so that way it's one less thing for you to worry about. So there's just so much fun things you can do with this data. And there's so many fun ways to use it and actually provide dealers back unbelievably good results. That's why programmatic's awesome. That's why OTT is awesome. And that's why it needs to be utilized, but the industry needs to get educated on it, because the industry has not gotten educated on it.
Well, I know there's a lot more that we could talk about, but is there anything more you'd like to share with the audience today?
Yeah, do your homework. That's all I'd say. Do your homework. Everybody's entering the space right now. It's really fun for me to see after being in it for a few years.
Yeah.
Ask questions, and if someone cannot explain something simply, it means they do not understand it. So find a provider that's willing to help you. Find a provider that's willing to help you with your creative and also help educate you, but also work with your other providers as well to make sure we're reaching the business goals that you're looking for as the dealer, because remember, we work for you.
Great, James. I really appreciate you coming out.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fantastic.
It's always fun.
Yes.
And thank you for taking the time to join us for this AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today our guest has been James Klaus from Loon Advertising. We hope to see you again on a future episode. This one's Over the Curb and Burning Gas.